Hi everyone, my name is Precious Iriaevho from Clickit Academy, and in this series of videos we'll be talking about JavaScript. JavaScript, the programming language. Without wasting much of your time, let's get to it. Introduction. JavaScript was invented by Brendan Eich in 1995 and it became an ECMA standard in 1997. JavaScript is the world's most popular programming language. JavaScript is the programming language of the web, especially when you had it with HTML and CSS. JavaScript is easy to learn, and this tutorial will teach you JavaScript from basics to advanced. Now, for you to follow through with me in this video, you would need basically two things. So this is your environment. You will need a browser, Firefox, Chrome, whatever browser it is. And also you will need an IDE. It could be Notepad, Notepad++, or VS Code. Also, the next thing you would want to know is where to use or place JavaScript. Now, this is after you've gotten your environment set up. So you have your browser and you have your IDE, which could be Notepad or VS Code ready. So the next thing is for us to know where to use or place JavaScript. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our Visual Studio Code, which I will be using for this training. But before we go to Visual Studio Code, the first thing I want to do is create a folder in your computer and name it anything. I've created my folder and I called it JavaScript. As you can see, this folder is empty. And when you have this folder, the next thing you can do is you can probably open your VS Code from here, or you can do it directly from the app itself. So if I go back to my JavaScript folder, I can right click and show more option and open with code. This only works after you have VS Code installed. Okay. Now I have my VS Code open, and what are we trying to do here? We are trying to understand where can we use JavaScript. And as it says in our slide, you can use it directly. That is, you can use it inside of the script tag in the head or body of the HTML document, or you can place it directly in an external file and they will be imported. And third, you can play with it on your browser console. So I'm going to work with the three so that you would know which one works best for you and which one would work best for us in our training or as we proceed. So first things first, you want to create your document. So let's create a simple HTML file, and I will just call this intro.html. So I like to number them so that they will come in sequentially. So 001 intro. So we have our intro file created, and with VS Code you can use your exclamation mark and tab, then it will create all the HTML boilerplate for you. So let's just edit the title from document to introduction. Please, if what I did not work, please just pause this video and type everything you have on your screen right here. We've done this in our HTML training already. I'm just doing a recap. So remember I said we can use JavaScript directly by placing it in the head or body of the HTML document. So let's try it. So this is the head. Right here inside of the head tag under title, we can create a script tag. So to use JavaScript, you use a script tag, opening and closing script tag. So I'm trying it in the head. I'm going to type a code now, but please, if you don't understand what I'm doing, don't be bothered. I just want you to see something in action. So if I say alert, okay, and I say alert, I am learning JavaScript with Precious. Let's see what that comes up with us. So what we need to do now is we go to our browser. I'm using a browser called Maxton, but it doesn't matter what browser you use. you would always see everything. Okay, you could be using Chrome or Firefox. So this is the file I created, intro. And if I right click and open it in a new page, you can see I have an alert that says I am learning JavaScript with Precious. If you don't believe me, I'm going to refresh the page again. So you see, I have my cursor in my address bar, and I will press enter on my computer now. And once the page reloads, it shows you an alert. It says, this page says I'm learning JavaScript with Precious. Okay. Next, remember, I also mentioned that you can use it inside of the body. So I'm going to remove this from the head now and paste it at the body just before the closing body tag. And let's see if this still works. Okay, it's no longer in the head, it's in the body. I will go back and I will refresh this page, and you see it still works. I am learning JavaScript with Precious. You know, I believe you can already see when you visit some websites, you see what happens when you have those alerts. That's how they get the alerts out for you. Now, the next way is externally. So how do we work with this externally? To get JavaScript into your file externally, it means you are importing JavaScript from another file, okay? You are importing it from another file. So how can we do that? We are going to delete what we have here. As you can see, there's no JavaScript here again. Then the next thing we will do is to create another file, and let's call this intro.js. Take note of the extension JS, okay? I'm also going to add 001 to it. 001, okay? Intro.js, so they are always together. Now, let's paste our alerts file here. But now, when you are in your JS file, you don't use scripts anymore. So I'm going to remove scripts, okay? So what we have here is just alerts. I am learning JavaScript with Precious. If you check our intro file, we don't have any JavaScript here. If I reload the page on my screen now, nothing happens. Can you see? Nothing is happening because there's no JavaScript. So the next thing we will do is to ensure that we connect this HTML file to this JavaScript file. That is how you work with JavaScript externally. And how do we do that? Right here inside of our body tag, okay, just before the footer, we can import this script file. And how do we import it? You guessed that right. We are also going to use our script tag, okay, script tag, but right now it's going to have source, okay, src. So it's going to go for the source. Where is this file? And the file is 001 intro.js. Save. And now we've connected the HTML file to our intro.js file. Now, if we go back and reload this page, let's see what happens. And as you can see, it is working. So now I've been able to show you how to work with it directly in HTML, in your HTML document, either in the head or in the body. And I've also shown you how to work with it externally by importing the file. So you import it just like we've done here. I imported the file in the HTML document after creating the intro.js file. Okay, now the third one, like I mentioned here, is the browser console. So how does this work in the browser console? So let's go to our browser, and to get the console, all you need to do is to right click anywhere, then click on inspect. Now look at what I have at the bottom here. I have this new file or this new window open. Then I will click on console. Console is after elements, console. And now I'm in the console. I can do the same thing I've been doing in the console. I can say alerts, okay? I am a JavaScript developer. And let's enter and see. And as you can see, what I typed in the console is actually taking effect on the browser. All right. So that is the three ways for us to import files or use our JavaScript file in HTML. So as we go along, you will see the best one. So as we go along, I may not want to create two files. I may just be using intro.html or any other file, and I will just put the JavaScript right at the bottom. Okay, so let's go back to our slide. Now that we know where to use and place JavaScript, the next thing we want to see is outputting JavaScript. There are 4 ways we can output what we have done with JavaScript. The first one is using inner HTML. The second one is using document.write, which is for testing. The third one is using window.alert. I've been using alert from the previous slide. And last but not the least is console.log for debugging. Okay, I've shown you what I've done in the console, but right now let's see how to output file using our HTML and JavaScript. So let's go back, and for this I'm going to create a new file, and I will call this 002 output.html. okay, then I can copy everything I have here. Just copy. Let me clean it up. Then introduction, I will change this to outputting JavaScript. So what we are trying to do now is to output JavaScript documents on our page. Now our page is looking bare, so let's work with our little bit of HTML knowledge. So H1, let me just use my name here, Precious Iriaevho. H2, I can say learning JavaScript. So I don't want the page to be blank like we had previously. So I'll just come here, reload, output HTML. Let's open that up. As you can see, we have an H1 tag and an H2 tag. Now, from here, we said the first way to output HTML is using inner.html. So how does this work? Let's get to it. So what inner.html does for you is that it helps you to write. It helps you to change or write into HTML tags using JavaScript. Okay, so I know that this may look a bit confusing now, but it won't be when we get into it. So we have what we call get elements by ID, get elements by class name. So let's start with that. So let's assume that I have a P tag, or you know what, let me use an H3 tag. That's a heading tag, and I give it an ID of, let's say, heading. Okay, I give it an ID of heading. As you can see, this tag is empty. It only has an ID, but it's empty. There's nothing inside. If you want to verify, let me reload the page. You see, it's empty. That file is not existing. That heading is not showing here. But if I check it with inspect, we will see it. Okay, it's there, but you can't see it. As you can see, H3 tag is there, but it has nothing inside. Okay, so how do we write into it? That's outputting using inner.html, and that's very, very easy. All we need to do is to create our script tag. Okay, so guys, because of I don't want to have so many files, I'm going to be using JavaScript directly inside of our HTML documents. Okay, so I will not be creating a file like I did with intro.js. We will do that later, but for now, so that everything is faster and cleaner, we are going to work with the script tags inside of our file. So how do we change what is here? We can do something like this. Documents dot get elements by ID. Take note of the way I'm writing it. Okay, then what is the ID we want to target? This ID called heading. I can copy it and I can paste it inside here. Okay, so we are going into the documents. Then we get this element by the ID of heading. And what do we want to do with it? We want to write into the inner HTML. And what do we want to write there? We can say something like, I just love this programming classes. Save that and let's reload the page. And as you can see, I just love this programming classes is on our HTML document. But if you check, we didn't put it inside of HTML. We are writing this using JavaScript. So what have I done here? Let me explain. What I've done is this. Inside of the script tag, I told JavaScript to go into the document. This is the entire document. Then I say, JavaScript, when you get into the document, please look for an element. So get elements by ID heading, which I created here. Then what do I want to do? I want to change the inner HTML, that is .inner HTML. And what do I want to change it to? Is equal to, I just love this programming language. Simple as that. If this is confusing, take this video back and rewatch again. If it's not, let's proceed. Okay? And you can play with it. You can change the heading to what you like. But remember, heading can only be one in a document. You cannot have more than you cannot have more than one ID that is the same. So ID is unique. I cannot have another document, and I cannot have another tag and call it ID heading. I have to change it. All right. So the next way to write is using document.write. But document.write is mostly good when you are testing. All right. So let's check. So what do we do? But before we proceed, I want to show you something. So I may just jump the gun here. Or let's proceed. So using document.write. So I'm going to comment this out. So while we are here, it's good to know how to comment. So to comment out in JavaScript, we use // okay? So I've used // or you can use the long one that says I am a long comment. See, it can span different lines. I'm going to drop this. I am a long comment. You see? So if you want a long line, you want to explain something in a very long way, you can use the long comment form or you can use the short one. So the next thing we want to check is document.write. And how do we use document.write? It's simple. Let's write immediately. So documents.write, almost similar. And what are we writing? I can say we are doing a JavaScript testing. So if we reload this page, let's see what we have. And as you can see, we have used document.write. And as you can see, we are doing a JavaScript testing. If you check this file, we are doing a JavaScript testing. It's not in HTML. See, it's not inside HTML. Sorry guys, as you can see, I've made a blunder here. I put my code inside of the head tag, which is wrong. It's supposed to be in the body tag. I'm very sorry for that, but I'm not going to edit this video so you can see that I made errors and I can debug on the spot. Okay. So let's reload this page again and see. Still the same thing. So my script tag, as you can see, is showing the document.write. Okay, but this is not good. Don't use document.write, but it's just for you to know. The next one is alert, and we've been using alert already. We've used it previously. So if I comment this one out and I come down here, I can say window.alert. And what are we alerting? My name is Precious Iriaevho. So let's go back to our browser and reload the page. And as you can see, the alert has taken place. My name is Precious Iriaevho. You click OK, then the remaining tags on the page will load. So that's the third way to output in JavaScript. The fourth way is using console.log, and this is very good for debugging. So let's use console.log. I'm also going to comment this out and I will drop it down. So for us to use console.log is actually very simple. And how do you use console.log? You say console.log. And what do you want to log to the console? So just look it up. Say it to yourself like this. What am I logging to the console? And this is it. I will say, I just logged this code to the console. So let's reload and see if this works. So if I reload this page, I just reload the page, but you cannot see what we just wrote here. I just logged this code to the console. You can't see it because this place is the window. So you can't see anything on the window. And the only way you can see what you write with console.log is when you right click on inspect and click on console. And as you can see, we have it here. I just logged this code to the console. So you see, you can write anything to the console from your HTML inside of your script tag or from your JavaScript. So guys, we just touched on 4 ways of outputting JavaScript codes: using inner HTML, using document.write, using window.alert, using console.log. As we proceed, we will be using the inner HTML and the console.log more frequently. Now, JavaScript statements. You would have seen the way I write. So when you write in JavaScript, JavaScript ignores multiple spaces or white spaces. Okay, it's not a problem for JavaScript. Also, learn to indent your codes properly. And last but not the least, semicolons separate JavaScript statements. If you can see what I have here, you can see that I've been using semicolon. So always use semicolons in your code. And also, JavaScript does not care about spaces. And as you can see, I'm also indenting. You see, script is here, but I indent my code when I'm writing. So always indent your code. JavaScript does not care about spaces, so you can use space to make your code cleaner. And also, don't forget to put your semicolons. Also, JavaScript comments. JavaScript comments can be used to explain JavaScript code and to make it more readable. JavaScript comments can also be used to prevent execution when testing alternative code. What does this mean? I can create a comment above console.log and I will say, I am trying to log this code to the console. You can see everything here this is a comment already because I have 2/. This will not execute, but this one will execute. And let's confirm. If I reload this page, you see my console is still logging. But if I go back, just like it stated here, that we can use it to prevent execution. If I turn this to a comment, $/, it's done. It's not going to execute. Let's see. Take note of the console. Okay, I'm going to reload the page now. And as you can see, we have nothing on the console. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is it on JavaScript Introduction. And we've touched on the history, we touched on the environment, we touched on where to use or place JavaScript, we touched on outputting JavaScript, where we also wrote some simple JavaScript codes. We talked on JavaScript statements, and last but not the least, we talked about JavaScript comments. I'm excited and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you guys.